You're listening to the Turnaround Podcast, the true life basketball story of Bull City's own Stewart Squirt Holley.
Yo, man, this beat crazy.
It's humbling too in a sense, but those people over there, they embraced me, took care of me. When I stepped out in public, they never let anyone cause harm to me. Because a lot of places I am by myself. I would go by myself. Europe, by myself. So I'm walking around cities in Europe by myself. And that was times I would duck and dodge whoever they had assigned to me. Because in the initial beginning, they had a translator with me. And me and my best friend, we would hang out for a lot too. Because he actually moved back home and he begun playing for that team. So when I wasn't around him, I was pretty much gambling. And I had made other friends. Because I got out into the public. You know, I wanted to be approachable. I wanted to embrace it. I wanted to enjoy it, especially in the city I lived in, the little town I lived in. I got out into the public. I walked to the bar duck too. I walked to some of the restaurants that I liked because it was a small town. So, but I walked. People would stop me, take photos with me, or get me their autograph, anything, anywhere, anytime. And I did it every time. Because I love them for loving me, those people in Lithuania. I love them for loving me. Like I say, they're very hard-working people, very proud people. And to this day, I keep up with Lithuanians and Lithuanian people. And if there's anything I ever can do for any Lithuanians anywhere, anytime, I do it. Just because that country is a second home to me. Being in Europe, being in Lithuania, how it shaped me emotionally and mentally. I was so willing to go outside myself as far as whatever adventure presented themselves, even down to the food. Over here in America, we know how we eat. So they eat totally different. Dried bread, everything, fruits and vegetables are always fresh from someone's garden, not from a grocery store like over here. Even down to how they grill out. Everything was just more natural. And I was so open-minded to their culture where I tried to learn the language as much as I possibly could intake. And that's why to this day I still can speak some Lithuanian, basic Lithuanian. Because I wanted to know how to order my food. I wanted to know how to talk to people, especially the ladies. I wanted to know how to talk to the ladies. I wanted to be able to compliment them and let them know they look nice. I wanted to be able to order my food when I go to restaurants because I didn't eat pork. So I wanted to stay away from the kalakutienos, which in Lithuanian is pork. So when I go to a restaurant and order my food, I would say, aš nenoriu kalakutienos. Mano patinki. So what I just said was, I don't want pork. I don't like pork. And what I would say is, mano patinki, I like fish. Kaolina, which is turkey, or vestino, chicken. So I would learn how to talk to people. A lot of them, in fact, many of them, that was just, I guess that was just what magnified my personality to those people there. Because not only was I there, but I made myself available to them. And I had tried to learn their language because I wanted to communicate with them. So any of them that have met me while I was there at that time, I would love to hear their opinions of me. And I know it was all love because I know how they treated me. I remember being in a situation, the USA team was playing. That was the 04 season, the Olympic team, the Redeemed team. I want to say they had Stephon Marbury, Allen Iverson, Carmelo Anthony. Those guys was on that team. I think it was that 04, 05. So it was some guys in that particular bar I was in this particular night. Like one of the first times and the only time I've ever gotten to an altercation over there. So these guys in the bar, the USA team had just lost to Lithuania national team. And these particular Lithuanians, I remember them being in some black, like leather jackets with zippers and all kind of stuff on them. And so they called me over to their table. Now, I've been seeing them all night, pretty much, all day rather, staring at me. So, but I was used to it because they all did that. Everywhere I went, they all stared. Even the ones who never said anything to me. And they was only staring because they've never seen an American black before. So for me to be in the same area as them, it was just like, what the fuck? And that's the look they had on their face. And I guess it could be intimidating for some people because some of those people over there have a hard life. And some of them, they look rough. And when they're just staring at you, you don't know what they're thinking. So nobody likes to be stared at. That could be overwhelming. So this particular day or night, whatever it was, I was at this particular club. I saw those guys staring at me, so I didn't think nothing of it. It was natural to me. So they ended up calling me over to their table. And so a few people that I was with they didn't want me to go over there. They didn't like the vibe they was getting from those dudes. So I went anyway. So I go to see what these guys want. They called me over to the table like with the index finger. Like, come here. That's how they did me. They called me over with the index finger. Cross a little bit. Their whole body language is aggressive. I go anyway. And I don't know what they were saying exactly because they was talking their natural language. But then they start talking to me in their own language because they realized I didn't understand fully what they were saying. So they basically was telling me like, yeah, Lithuania just beat USA. You American. Y'all all rich, all spoiled, and y'all just, people just want to kiss your ass. And I just want to say, go back home where you from. You a nigger. So I just thought it was funny. And everybody that I was with, you know, at that time, they like, come on, let them. And the guys, they kept trying to, I guess they was trying to get me aroused, but it didn't work. I didn't feed into it. Nothing escalated from that. They just woofed. But that was like one of the only times I ever experienced racism over in that country. Because it happened like twice. So that was one of the two times that it happened. But other than that, like I said, the people were marvelous. And like I said, the games, the way we traveled and the teams we played against, they were strong. I remember back to any injuries. I do remember, but this was no injury that was a season-ending injury. Like what happened to me in college. We was in Latvia playing against a team. I want to say it was in Riga. So they had two Americans, 6'10" guy out of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And this other guy was like 6'6". He was from Detroit. And of course, we talked a little bit before the game. Never met each other before, never seen each other before. But all three of us from the United States. And here he is in Latvia meeting for the first time in life on two different teams, two different ball clubs. Cameras were all in our face. Cool. And the particular game, once the ball tossed, I came out and I must have dropped 12, 14 points first quarter. Their coach pissed off, called the times out. And we come back out from that time out. And this was in the second quarter. I make a move, drive to the basket. And I remember as I leave off my feet to go for the finish, I took a hit to the face, elbow to the corner of the top of my left side of my face, up in the eye area, and laid out and bled profusely. They come and get me, take me to the back. It's just bleeding uncontrollably. And put stitches, and they finally got the bleeding to stop. I couldn't return to the game till the bleeding stopped. I never returned to that game. I don't remember we won or lost. So the teams went out to eat after that game was over with. And me and the two players, the other two Americans, all three of us, naturally, we just sat together. And as we're eating, I never forget what those boys told me. And see, they couldn't speak Lithuanian or Latvian. So, but they felt like when that coach made that time out, he was so pissed off that he told them to do something to me. He told them, that's what they felt. I don't know. But whatever it was, he wanted them to stop me from scoring the ball so easily. And me and one of those guys, 6'10" fella out of Harrisburg, PA, he was the one felt that way and told me about it and expressed the dislike for it. But they don't know for certain because they don't speak the language. Me and him, we're friends to this day, and we always kept in touch. That's a relationship that we made almost 17 years ago. So all of those things, part of the experience. And let me say this real quick. I remember being out. I've been out a few times, and I hear people sometimes at bars, right, looking at NFL players and NBA players. And I take it some kind of way when they make the comment saying that, these professional athletes, they just overpaid and going with silver spoons in their mouth and they spoiled brats. And I've been a few places where I stopped someone verbally and let them know, hey man, you don't know where that person, what they had to go through to get to where they at. Can't say that about every last professional athlete because we're not all born with silver spoons in our mouth. We're not all just sitting around rolling around in millions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? From whatever sport it may be. Look at the Williams sisters. You know what I'm saying? They came from hard times. They came from struggle over in Compton. So to say that just to me, it's like a person passing judgment. And just because you play a sport, like I said, that's nothing easy. Players, we make it look easy. The upper echelon, they make it look easy. But what goes into it is a complex thing that goes into it. All people on the outside of that, all they see is the final product. They don't the final body of work, but they don't see what go into it. And so for people who make those types of comments, they let me know, you know what I'm saying? They just obviously don't know the makeup they go into it. That's very untrue. All of those people are not just coming from two spoons in their mouth and coming out of good situations. A lot of people come from adverse situations to make it to where they're at. You know what I'm saying? And that's needed. What we're doing here with the turnaround, also, that's needed. You know what I'm saying? Because the whole process of it was a complex thing. And that's how you get life. To create life is complex. Success is a complex thing. You know, so I just wanted to say that real quick. One of my favorite questions I like to ask kids, especially, anybody, always ask them, what does it mean to be a professional? The kids love to talk about, especially teenagers, they'll say something about money. They'll be like, oh, the money. When you get paid, that's the first thing they'll say. Such and such get paid this, such and get paid that. I say, yeah, I understand that. But that's not what makes or defines a professional. You know what I'm saying? A professional is a person that can go out and perform on demand. You know what I'm saying? That's a professional. It ain't about the money. A professional is a person who can block out pain, when they can block out the weather, when they can block out how they feel on the inside, and they perform. That's a professional. You know what I'm saying? It ain't about the money. Just because a person get paid or something doesn't make them a professional. You know what I'm saying? To be a professional is a mindset. It's a lifestyle. And when a passion comes along with that, then that's when you get greatness in class as a combination of that. So it ain't always about the money, what makes a professional. It's about being able to perform on demand. That's professional. And on a high level. I left behind everything I ever knew. Everyone that I ever knew, and went to Europe by myself. No friends, no family, no nobody, just me and whatever clothes that I could, suitcases, whatever. But yeah, and then to step out there and it's all on you. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have nobody to relate to or talk to when I felt some kind of way, because I knew the coach staff might have been upset with me because of the language. I didn't learn the language, so I knew when they was using foul language. Only NBA players and other professional players know what that feels like. I guess they feel they're paying you to do a job, and when they feel like you're not doing a job, they feel some kind of way. But you as a player, you knew, hey, I did it, I saw fit, and it wasn't good enough today. So that's the business side of basketball. So you got to be able to take all of that that come along with it, the good along with the bad. Because once you start playing on levels outside of high school and college, and you're playing on professional levels, that ain't rec league basketball. That ain't pick up basketball in the park. That's a business. Somebody is the owner of the team you play for. They got money invested in this team, and you are a part of their product. You market sell their product, their brand. You know what I'm saying? So if you doing good and team doing good, then everybody doing good. But if you ain't doing good and team ain't doing good, then ain't nobody doing good. You know what I'm saying? Then when things like that get to happen, and then when you can get uneasiness going on, the business side can be. So you have to take all of that.
This has been a Vanguard Podcast Network original. Stay tuned for the next episode of the Turnaround Podcast, and follow the Turnaround Podcast on Instagram by clicking the link in the show notes. If you'd like to book Stewart Holley for a speaking engagement or to be a guest on your show, please reach out to theturnaround77@gmail.com, and someone will get back to you within 48 hours. Thank you for listening.
Yo, man.